G'day, welcome to This Is Riff, and today we're going to look at 1 Inch Man by Kyuss. Another banger track by Kyuss, which I've been wanting to cover for a while now, and it's fairly straightforward. I've used a bit of the live footage I found of Josh playing this just to help out with some parts, and I'll throw some ideas your way as well. So please note these videos are never 100% correct, they're more just a guide for you, especially when it comes to the tab on the screen. I've just huddled the frets together just to make it come across a bit easier for you. So the notational values or the rhythms are way off. And my setup today is just my old mate Fender Jag, and that's plugged into my Fender Champion 100 Solid. And that's just got an overdrive setting to my liking, so no pedals or anything. And I just recommend going to your neck pickup, which is what Josh normally does for Kyuss, which just gives it a bit more beef. I just need to also mention, I apologise for my sound quality. I know it's quite horrible my end, and I'll hopefully get that sorted one day. As is the case with most Kyuss songs, you'll just have to tune your guitar to C standard tuning, which goes like this: C, F, A sharp, D sharp, G, and C. But I'll probably just refer to standard tuning being E, A, D, G, B, and E. So that's just a bit of an idea of the intro there. And just with my style and technique, my pick probably gives a bit of a scratchy sound in between the notes, depending how hard I sort of play there. So yeah, I just apologise for that. The notes aren't as clear as day as what Josh does, but hopefully you get the idea. And so you're going to go to fret 9 on the A string, and you sort of start by doing a slow bend, and then 2 quicker ones, and then the very last one's sort of like a vibrato, where you just keep bending it fast. So for the bulk of this riff to come, and the sick verse riff as well, Josh is mainly palm muting, and so I'll let you know when you sort of don't have to do it, but purely just go by the feel here. I don't think he does it exactly the same every time, but yeah, it definitely sounds cool palm muted and with downstrokes if you can, but you don't have to. I've sort of bulked it together here to help it come across a bit easier. So it's 2 9s, then 4 9s, quite fast, without a palm mute at the end. Then it's 3 9s, and you don't palm mute the last 9 there, and then 3 9s again, which you just continue palm muting straight back into the start again. So it just does a big loop there. Start again. Start again. So you'll play that whole thing through 3 times, and then the tail end of it before the band kicks in roughly does something like this. So I'll give you a couple of ideas. The first one that I actually did in my example was something similar to that, where you just stick on the 9. Another idea is I can hear a bit of a 7/9 in there, which potentially might be Scott doing it, but you could whip it in there. Something like that. And then when the band kick in, it's just a little variation of that first riff again, except Josh is just extending the amount of 9s you play, especially with that fast bit. So it's sort of 1 9, and then 6 9s played quite fast. Don't palm mute the last one there. 3 9s. Don't palm mute the last one there. And then 3 9s again before kicking into round 2 of it. So just when you get to the end, it goes straight back to the start again. Start again. finish that one off, the tail end's sort of similar like the last one where you just sit at the 9s. Something like that. It's also just worth noting that you don't want the 9s sustaining like this. Instead, you want to completely cut it off. So a few little things I do here is I lightly release the 9 and then you keep holding the string but it mutes it for you. Just cuts it off. Another thing I sometimes do is my pick will automatically go back to the string, which helps cut it off as well. And then thirdly, my fingers here sometimes will come down and mute the strings as well. So I've sort of got three lots of security there in a sense to block it off. So yeah, it just slightly comes off there. So yeah, if that helps you out, that's what I'm doing there to cut it off. We then get to this wicked riff for the verse, and I've always loved this part. So you're at fret 9 again on the A, and try to use your first finger here because you're going to jump down to 12 on the G and do a pull off to fret 11. And so I like to use my third finger here to do that. You could use your pinky as well, but just for me that movement's a bit easier. So it's 9, 9, 9, 12, 11 as a pull off. So you go onto your second finger there, if you choose that way. And then it's straight to fret 12 on the D string. So you don't have to palm mute that if you don't want. It's a pretty quick movement. You go back to fret 9 on the A. You do 3 9s in that little group there, and the last one you don't palm mute. So don't palm mute that one, and then you do 3 9s again, palm muted before starting again. So it's similar to that intro where it just rolls around straight to begin again. In my example there, I also gave you the little tail ends that Josh occasionally whips in there. And so one of them is you jump down to 9, 11 on the G and do a hammer on. So I'm just using my first finger there to my third finger. So you only play that G once to get the 9, 11, and then same thing again. And then another one he does is back to the 9. He jumps down to 9, 11, and he sort of bends the 11 or vibratos it before kicking into the sick riff again. So I'll give you a few ideas for the chorus here because it's a bit open to interpretation, but I'll give you the main power chords that are getting strummed, and then you can sort of strum it however you wish there. So you'll just start by playing a power chord at fret 5 on the top string. So first finger at 5, third finger at fret 7 on the A string, and your pinky at fret 7 on the D string. This is generally how Josh likes to do his, but you can definitely just do a normal power chord and get away with it as well. And so you'll do 8 strums of 5, and then you'll do a 5 to 7 as a slide. Strum 7 a few more times, and then a couple more with a slide to 8 as a power chord. And so I'll run through that bit a bit slower. And then you'll finish it off by playing on fret 8 as a power chord as well. And so you're going to strum that around 6 times after you do the slide. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So go by the feel here. Josh, of course, is probably occasionally adding in some extra strums. That's just how I did it in my example. Do down and up, or you could do downstrokes just to make it sound tougher. So as long as you're hitting those main power chords there, you should be right. 5, 7, and 8. And then you'll just whip back down to the main riff. Before starting again. That was a fairly rough attempt there at verse 2, but it's pretty similar to the first one, except you're adding in a lot more bends here. I won't go through it in too much detail, so if you follow the tabs there, you should be pretty sweet. But it's always just the last little bit of the riff where Josh mixes it up. So the first one is a fret 11 bend on the G, and you're going to do that twice. Third one is a fret 12 bend on the B string. So I'm using my third at the minute for those bends. The fourth one, I think I did my pinky here, so I use my pinky to do a bend at fret 12 on the bottom string there, on the high E. But you could use your third definitely as well. So yeah, that one jumps down to 12 on the bottom string. Like that. And then the fifth one, or after that one, does that 9 to 11 hammer on again twice in a row. Like so. And then for 3 times, you're going to go back to that 12 on the B string as a bend. And so again, it's up to you if you do downstrokes there. Maybe on the recording, Josh does downstrokes because I know he likes doing that. But I was probably doing down and up as well. So yeah, either way is cool. Then to lead into the little solo bit to come, Josh just sort of sits on the 9 there, so you can sort of keep plucking away at it before leading into the to come. For this little lick here, it's fret 11 and 9 on the G, and I was using my third and first finger for that. So you just strum it once and then pull off. So just leave your first finger there planted on fret 9. You could definitely use your second finger as well. I was using my third. So you do it 6 times. And at the end of that 6th one, it's just another 9. With a little vibrato. And so that's played 7 times all up. And then to finish it off, it's a 11-9 as a pull off again on the G. You can go to 12 on the B here. I was using my third there, I think, and you can do a bend if you want, or just hold the 12. Back to 9 on the G, then 11-9 as a pull off, and then you'll drop down to fret 12 on the high E as a bend, and I was using my third for that as well. So similar to this. And then that will roll into the second chorus. was a bit sloppy there with my example, but again, I think it's one of those riffs you can afford to be, based purely on how you feel like strumming it, and then whereabouts you strum it as well. And so in my example, I gave you a few options again as well, just to annoy you. The first one I think is what Josh does on the album. And so that's based on power chords on the top string. So it's open to 2 as a power chord. And so you can opt to do your power chords with the 3 fingers. I was just using my pinky. And so once you do the hammer on, it's 6 strums to 2. You're going to slide up to 8 as a power chord, then 7, and then 5, followed by another 5 to kickstart it again. Do all downstrokes. Sounds sweet. Or down and up, whichever way you please. And then around the 2:36 mark, I feel like I can hear some high notes going on for this part, which makes me think Josh potentially does a bar chord there, potentially. So sort of those notes I can hear in there. So you can whip that in there if you want. And then alternatively, on the live stuff, it looks like Josh is actually going like this instead. So he potentially could be doing that on the album as a second track as well. I always love these power chords. It's beefed up with an extra octave. So it's 7, 7, 9, and 9. And you'll do that as a slide to 9 as a power chord. So yeah, 7, slide to 9, and that's played with the same sort of feel. So you'll do 6 9s, and then everything else is the same. 8 on the top string, 7, 5, all as power chords. So yeah, you can potentially do it that way as well, which also sounds sick. The way Josh plays this, I actually find a little tricky. So I'm going to actually give you another idea as well, which might help you out. But I'll run through how it looks like Josh does it live. And so you'll slide to fret 11 on the D with your 3rd finger, and then jump down to 9 on the G with your 1st. And then it's 11 9, 11 9 as a pull off. Back to the 11 again. And then you've got to jump down to fret 8 on the high E string. And so this is what I found a little tricky. I'm using my 2nd finger there, because you've got to get back up to the 11 9 on the G. So yeah, try and use your 2nd finger there. It seems to work well for me. You could definitely use your 1st as well, which I think Josh does live. And then so yeah, once you do the high 8, it's 11 9 on the G, and then 2 more 9s. And then that's just followed by 11 on the D, 9 on the G, and then 11 9 as a pull off, which is done 4 times. Back to the 11, and then you jump down to that 8 again on the high E. And then finally 11 on the G to finish it. So I'll put all that section together. So that's played through 3 times, and then it's the last little bit that I just found a bit tricky because of a bend. So it's 11 on the D, 9 on the G, 11 9, 11 9, 11, down to 8 on the high E, back to 11 9 9 on the G, you jump down to 8 again on the high E, then 11 9 on the G, another 9, and right here you do a bend at fret 8 on the high E. And so this is a quick move where you do the bend back to 11-9 on the G. So I found that a little tricky. Just to play it like Josh does. And just quickly, I mentioned earlier, there's another way you could play this potentially. By all means, I don't think Josh actually does it this way, but it might help you play the solo just a little bit easier. And so instead of going to fret 8 on the high E, you could go to 13 on the B. So everything else is exactly the same, but you could use your pinky for that. And it also just sort of helps with the ending with that bend. So yeah, that's just an idea for you. For the outro here, you're just combining some of those sweet power chords with the verse type riff. And so it's 5 on top string, 5, 7, and 7. So again, just use whatever fingers work best there for you. So you're going to strum that pretty much 7 times. And then it's 3 quick strums with a slide to 7 as a power chord. So the same shape. And then you do 2 strums and then 3 quick strums with a slide to 8. So it's sort of maintaining that feel. And then it's 6 quick strums of the 8. So I'll do that again. So it's got a bit of a feel like that. You'll then jump to the verse riff again just to play it twice. Back to the power chords, which has the same sort of feel as the first time. You then jump back to the verse riff again, except this time the tail end of it's got that 12 bend on the B string. Play through that twice, back to the power chords. Except this time you're going to go to 8 and just strum it once. Let that linger for a bit, and then 2 as a power chord on the top string. And hold that with a wall of fuzz. Well, I hope that helps you out in some way. Such a good track. If you've got any questions, please leave a comment below, and I'll catch you soon. Bye.